Hello and welcome back to the Prosperity by Design podcast. Today's episode is going to be another solo episode about a topic that has kind of it's been on my mind for a really long time. And that topic is expectations. So buckle up, tune in, drive safe, whatever it is that you're doing, walk at a good hearty pace. I don't know what it is, where it is that you're going or what it is that you're doing listening to this episode, but be sure to stay tuned because we're going to go deep on this one. So I'm going to actually go back to a story that is from 2017. I was working at the time in insurance out in Denver, Colorado. The insurance agency that I was working for, they hosted these classes for insurance accreditation. It was like continuing education more or less, but you can use those classes as credits towards getting your insurance certification. And so one of the classes that I went to was about motorcyclists and business automobile policies. And in that class, we were talking about if a motorcyclist is hit. I can't remember what the exact circumstances were, but I remember the teacher of that class getting up on a soapbox and, making a whole big stink about motorcyclists. And I just had this down to earth moment. And I actually wrote about it in one of my journals. And it was about expectations. And it was if you set the expectation that, this motorcyclist is going to be the person who messes everything up in your commute, then it's just like anything else that you activate in your reticular activating system. You are setting them up for failure. You're setting them up to be the person who is going to ruin your commute. And so with expectations, I feel like we kind of do that very much so the same way, where we go into something and we expect it to go a certain way, and then it goes sideways or it goes left ways or it goes opposite of the way that you want for it to go, and then we get all pissed off about it. And it's well, are you really actually justified in being pissed off about this right now? Because you are the one who actually put the expectation out there on the universe, in the universe, that you were I expect it to go this way and nothing short of it. And then it'll go sideways and you're but I'm setting the expectation. And really, expectations are just massive moments of disappointment. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit. I have a sneeze coming up, so I'm just going to pause this really fast so that I can sneeze. Because trust me, oh my God, that was so loud. Okay. When you set the bar so high and you're you don't even have to set it that high at all. But when you set the bar someplace and then you can't get to the bar, then it's just a massive disappointment. And it always ends in a massive disappointment, or it's you getting angry or upset, or you're depressed or you're sad, or whatever the case may be. And it is so much easier. It's 10 times easier to just let go of what the outcome is going to be, because you cannot control the outcome. Let's just think of it. I coach crew, so let's just think of it in terms of a race, okay? There's a really big race coming up in 2 weeks. It's called Head of the Charles Regatta, okay? And I have a crew. This is a hypothetical scenario, okay? This is not necessarily a real scenario, although some of it may reference some real scenarios that are going on currently. It is not necessarily a real life scenario. Okay, just to clear that up. Okay, anyways, going back to this example here. I have a crew that I'm really excited to put out for the Head of the Charles Regatta, and I think that they could do a really good job in their race, in their event. They could qualify to keep the bid, and so I'm really excited to put this crew out there. But I'm going in with the expectation of this crew is going to get either, let's just say top 10, okay? I have a very good, confident feeling that the crew that I've created is going to be top 10, okay? Now, this week, I get a athlete come to practice and say that they have a herniated disc, okay, in their back. Well, guess what? My odds of getting that crew to go top 10 just went down significantly. And I set the expectation of I'm going to get top 10, okay? And guess what? I just destroyed my expectation with the new circumstance that's coming up and showing itself, okay? Now, with that being the case and that being the scenario, now I'm getting all angry and frustrated because I have to come up with a new lineup and I have to create a new bow and I have to, go take all of these new steps. Whereas if I just let go from the beginning and I was detached from the beginning and I was like, okay, there's a big race coming up. We're going to do the best that we can. Here's my tentative lineup and we'll have to see if that's going to stay the same come race day. Then if something were to happen, which in all likelihood, the odds of something happening, if you go into the race with that mentality, the odds of something happening are probably way lower than the odds of something happening with your expectation. Because when you put an expectation out there, it's like you're signaling to the universe, you're signaling, hey, I'm okay with something. I'm not okay with something other than this. So if something other than this happens, then that's it. Fuck it all, right? Whereas if you just say, fuck it all, this is what I have to do, this is what I am going to be able to put together, then the universe isn't going to throw something your way, because you're detached from it. Once you have that attachment, once you have that expectation, it's just everything from that point forward is going to be a letdown, because it's never going to look the way that you wanted for it to look from the beginning. And that is signaling to other people and to the universe that you want to be in control. And what's the big phrase that everybody talks about when it comes to control or plans? You make plans and God laughs, okay? There's a reason that that's a saying. There's a reason that that's something that people talk about, because it happens so frequently. You could go ahead and you can make plans, but God will laugh in your face, okay? That's how it is going to be. And this, again, is going back to partially a real life scenario, but also partially not my real life scenario. If you go into the Head of the Charles regatta, the Head of the Charles race with this expectation, something is going to pop up like a herniated disc, and it is going to mess with your expectation, and it is going to require a new level of yourself when you go to approach this circumstance, this issue, and this lineup now. Whereas if you just let go from the beginning and you were just accepting of what is happening and you take things as they are coming to you, then you are better prepared and better able to manage and handle scenarios and circumstances, because you do not have that expectation. And there's a reason why they call them expectation hangovers, okay? Because the hangover sucks. And when you have an expectation and you don't get that expectation, it sucks. So consider that the next time that you go to set a goal, or you go to do something, or you go to put something together even, keep yourself expectation free, because the less of an expectation that you can have, the better performance you're probably going to end up getting. And that literally goes from crew to business to everything in between. Watch your expectations. Okay. Now that that's been all said and done, thank you for tuning into today's episode. Be sure to follow along and subscribe. Leave a review, because it definitely really helps the algorithm to recommend the podcast to new listeners. And keep on trucking. Sorry, there's a piece of granola in my mouth from lunch, and I'm like kind of like playing with it, and I'm trying to get it out of my teeth. So it's kind of why I'm at a little bit of a loss for words right now. But that all being said, thank you for tuning in, and I can't wait to talk to you next time on the Prosperity by Design podcast. Thanks.